What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and from Fox News Digital, decline of Western civilization starting in San Francisco, Gen Z activist says. And he's probably right. It could be New York, maybe Chicago, Seattle, Portland, even Los Angeles. I'm not quite sure. But shout out to this guy in the younger generation who's hip to this, because when I was younger, coming up in and around San Francisco, I certainly was not hip to what was going on. So maybe, just maybe, we can take a step in the right direction as long as the crooked, corrupt, elite ruling class of politicians and media hacks don't go fully scorched earth on us to maintain power, which we know is not beyond them. We might be able to fight back against this. So let's see what they have to say about the decline of Western civilization in San Francisco.
My name is Darren Mark Salkup. I'm currently on my way home. I live in the Tenderloin of San Francisco.
This guy lives in the Tenderloin. I could not imagine. I am very familiar with the area. And many years ago, it was completely disgusting. I never lived there. And I can assume that it hasn't gotten any better in the last, decade or so. And it probably won't get any better in the next decade or so unless more people like this start to stand up. But it is going to be an uphill battle against the establishment that has their claws in this, what used to be a beautiful city.
And every day, this is what I have to deal with.
It's disgusting. And it's funny, maybe funny is not the word, but it is very strange that when people like Mayor London Breed and greasy Governor Gavin Newsom, they talk about, we're going to deploy a special unit and we're going to, stop the open air drug market, which of course they're not going to do and they wouldn't be able to do even if they wanted. And then you have other supervisors saying, well, how dare you arrest people for doing drugs in the streets? You have to be compassionate. Jail doesn't work. Well, they have zero compassion for the people who have to walk to and from their house, dodging tents and needles and human feces and junkies just nodding off on the sidewalk. They don't have compassion for them at all. You just got to pay the taxes so we can give free needles to this guy self-vaccinating under the Bay Bridge.
This is absolutely horrible. I cannot keep living like this.
I am personally witnessing a fentanyl genocide. It seems as though every night I am going to sleep to the sounds of sirens and waking up to people screaming for their lives. Every morning I go out and count the bodies. Someone's not moving.
And I also imagine that while the Tenderloin is absolutely disgusting, it's not cheap. Even with other stories that we have of housing prices dropping in the Bay Area, in San Francisco to be specific, it's still, I assume, I can't prove it, go ahead and fact check me on this, still much higher than the national average. And you have to, live with dope fiends and junkies and thieves and robbers and pimps and hoes and all sorts of stuff.
I give them a love tap check to see if they're alive. And it seems if lives, every morning I'm seeing a fentanyl genocide. It seems as though every night I am going to sleep to the sounds of sirens and waking up to people screaming for their lives. Every morning I go out and count the bodies. Someone's not moving. I give them a love tap check to see if they're alive.
He sees a body that's not moving. He gives them a love tap to see if they're alive. Now, that's incredibly dark. And if I'm honest, I wouldn't do that. I would keep walking. So kudos to this guy for even, tapping a junkie that's laid out on the sidewalk with your shoe to see if he moves. That's more than he should be responsible for.
And it seems as if local leaders and local news are working together to kind of just sweep this under the rug. And
The political quote-unquote leaders and the local news might be working together? Well, I never heard of such a thing. Couldn't be.
Pretend as if everything is fine and dandy, when in all actuality, thousands of people are dying from fentanyl. I want women and children to be safe again.
Now, okay, I would push back a tiny bit because, look, they are acknowledging that this is a problem, but they're also telling you that you're the problem. You should really ignore it. They're not pretending it's fine and dandy. They're saying, well, you need to be compassionate. You shouldn't be cruel. And then they're pretending they're going to do something, but of course we all know they're not. So he might be a little, in the grand scheme, he's completely right. But I will say that they're not actually pretending it's fine and dandy. They're saying that you're an issue if you have a problem with it, right? You don't want to stigmatize the homeless, do you?
It seems like, every morning children are having to walk to school and having to navigate the trenches of San Francisco, tripping over bodies, fecal matter, needles, crack pipes, you name it. These sidewalks are haunted with the spirits of lost souls.
And this is the same city, of course, where businesses are fleeing all over the place. Old Navy, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom, Whole Foods, Walgreens, they're all leaving. I wonder why.
My apartment has been broken into 3+ times in the last year. I've had to fight off burglars with my own 2 bare hands.
Oh, so his apartment has been broken into 3 times in a year, and he's fighting off burglars with his bare hands because it's too dangerous for him to have a weapon. Obviously, he needs to leave here. And as much as I enjoy standing up to fight, it's gone. I lived in San Francisco. I lived in New York. There's no way. Look, and I'm not trying to be super black pill pessimist here, but if you think for one split second the ruling class establishment is going to allow anybody to vote them out of power, you're sadly mistaken.
Walking around the Tenderloin or just anywhere in San Francisco, it seems as if every corner post has a missing person flyer on it. I'm noticing a significant amount of women and young women going missing in San Francisco without a trace. And everyone's talking about it the day of and maybe the next day, but come next week, it seems like everyone's moved on. San Francisco has become a 4th world country within a first.
San Francisco has become a 4th world country. I've honestly never even heard that before. I wouldn't even be able to tell you a 4th world country. That's how bad it is. And there was a recent article of a business owner who said that San Francisco had become worse than Afghanistan, which is saying a lot. Of course, I've never been to Afghanistan, so I don't know. But it's also strange that they pretend to care about the immigrants. They pretend to care about the small business owners. But obviously, they would much rather cater to criminals and junkies, which I guess is one and the same. Just like the media and the Democrats is one and the same.
First world country.
And Republicans, for that matter. They're just like a little bit different. But I digress. That's not what this is about.
Generations of people, good men and women, built this city. Generations of blood, sweat, and tears. And I hate to see it all crumble in a decade just because people can't stop voting for this chaos. They think this chaos is freedom and liberty, and I see it as the death of freedom and liberty. San Francisco hasn't had a conservative mayor since 1964.
And they probably won't ever again, because that ruling class establishment is not going to take their foot off the gas, I should say. They're not going to let a free and fair election remove them from power. It's just not going to happen. It needs to float off into the Pacific Ocean, and the entire state should probably just start over. Because Nancy Crypt Keeper Pelosi, do you think for 1 second that anybody who's come up or around her, those establishment politicians, are just going to sit back and say, well, we got outvoted this time, wipe our hands clean of it? Of course, it would never happen because they've brainwashed most of the population, so they don't even have to worry about it. But I can say with a straight face that after they were able to install Joe Biden in the presidency against the will of most Americans, anything else is small potatoes, and I can say that now on YouTube.
We've had Democrat after Democrat for generations, and it's easy for people at the top of the hill to pretend and act as if the problem isn't happening. But for us folks halfway up the hill, and especially for us folks at the bottom of the hill, this is an everyday reality.
And again, they are not really pretending like it's not happening. They know it's happening, but they don't care, and that's the power play. It's the same thing with the Transformer agenda. They know it doesn't make any sense, but you have to go along with it because they are in charge. Do what they say. It's all a power play. They know exactly what's happening. They're not oblivious to it. They're not pretending it's not happening. They're saying it's happening, and you can't do anything about it because we like it this way. We are in charge. We're going to destroy the middle class. It's only going to be us And the people who are self-vaccinating underneath the Bay Bridge on a pile of needles in a tent and are happy to get the crumbs that we throw them. We don't need people like you questioning our authority so you can just get out.
Growing up in the early 2000s, we saw the TV commercials with children in third world countries asking for help, in Africa or South America. Now it's me in Nancy Pelosi's district asking for help. I've had countless people reach out to me over social media and say, who cares what's happening in San Francisco? We voted for this. And my only message to them is, I'm a conservative. I did not vote for these corrupt Democrats, and I do not approve of what is happening in our—
Well, that's why you have to leave. And they want you to leave. Make no mistake about it. Andrew Cuomo a couple years ago. Kickback Kathy Hochul more recently. They basically say, and I'm paraphrasing here, that conservatives are not welcome there. That's why they hollow you out, and they only want people who are going to obey and ask how high when they say jump. That's it. They don't want you there, and that's why they make these crazy rules to weed out the people who aren't going to be dumb enough to listen to everything they say. So they would love nothing more than for you to leave, and as sad as it sounds, you're better off, bro, because they are— realistically, you just don't stand a chance. I'm sorry. I wish it weren't the case, but it is.
We are witnessing the collapse of the Paris of the West and potentially the decline of Western civilization, with San Francisco being the first domino.
Yeah, I mean, it is really sad. And I applaud this guy for standing up. And I think we do need fighters like that, but it's just so sad that it's already gone. I lived in San Francisco. I lived in New York. I've seen people, I know people who've been, try to run for city council and supervisor and stuff, and they don't let anybody with any common sense get anywhere even close to getting even a single vote. These are regular people. They're not millionaires, billionaires. So it might be a different story if you have a little bit more money. But look at a guy like Larry Elder. They call him the black face of white supremacy when he was going up against Gavin Newsom. So they have the power and they are not afraid to use it. That's why they're telling you that a boy can be a girl and vice versa. That's why they're telling you that we need to, give out free needles, because they want to know who is going to obey. You can even look at Rona. Right? Wear a mask, wear 2, get the shot, get 3 shots, get 6 shots, get 1 every 6 hours, whatever it is. And if you don't obey, that is their cue that you don't belong here. So we're either going to find a reason to throw you in jail or you're going to leave on your own will. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.